welcome back to another episode of Everlasting Summer. I am excited to dive back into this game. Last time we left off, we encountered a very depressed guy, and we finished the prologue, but I stopped us at day 1, and I honestly feel like I wasn't fair enough with how long I filmed last time, but I think just the last time it was like 30 minutes was good. And yeah, so let's just dive right into it. Right, load game. So here we are in this bus. We have traveled essentially back in time, and from what I could tell, some very inappropriate images. And on this channel, I'm going to be starting here pretty soon a new series called Walking with Jesus that is going to be primarily for kids, and it's going to be me and my grandma teaching from Genesis all the way to Revelation, and making it for kids. So we're really excited about that, and honestly, it'll be probably to me the best thing that I ever put up on my channel. So I really hope you guys enjoy that, and honestly watch it. Like, it would mean a lot to me, and revealing my religion, but it's something that the Lord laid on my heart to do, so I'm gonna do it. But with that said, let's dive in. Bright daylight struck my eyes. At first I didn't pay attention, as I wasn't fully awake yet. Me neither. On their own, my legs carried me towards the door. Semyon? Is that how you pronounce that? Damn, looks like I fell asleep and missed my stop. But there was no door. Uh-oh. Help. Help. I looked around the bus and realized that it wasn't a good worn out Liaz. I want to get the pronunciations wrong. Instead, the bus was a curious model, a new one. Oh boy. I froze in shock. How? What? Am I dead? Is he dead? I have no idea. Have I been kidnapped? Potentially. Potentially. No, I must be dead. Oh. Did he just slap himself? I patted myself down feverishly, slapped myself painfully in the face a few times, banged my forehead on the back of one of the bus seats. Ow! I mean, literally, ow. It's clear either I'm still alive or you can still feel pain when you're dead. But how could this happen? Maybe I slept for too long and ended up at the bus depot. And And then what? Did they put me on another bus? Ooh, that's a pretty nice bus. I rushed out and took a look around. Greenery everywhere I looked. Tall grass on the roadside. Trees, flowers. Summer? But how? It was winter just a moment ago. Literally. Quite literally. My head was aching unbearably. Boy, I'm sure that he has a massive headache, as if it was going to explode. Slowly, I began to remember. Ooh, memories. Gotta love them. Ooh, eyeball. I'm gonna comment on everything. A long road running off into the distance. Forests, plains, fields, lakes, and forests again. Yay. I think I was sleeping, but then how can I remember all of it? And then, a gap. Some girl leaning over me. She softly whispered something into my ear. Then, a gap again. But that's not creepy at all. And then, I woke up here. Who was that strange girl? Or was she just a dream? For some reason, thinking about her made me feel better and calmed me down a little. I felt warmth all over, coming from inside. Could it be love? Could it? Do I need to get my bat? I'm kidding. Kidding. Could it be her who brought me here? Potentially. Then I need to find her. Oh boy, I don't think that's a good idea. And the best place to look for her is away from here. That's still not a good idea. I rushed to the left, then to the right, then stopped, hesitating over where to go. Finally, I ran in the direction which, from the bus, had probably came. ... I don't think your decision is wise. More dots. Physical exercise does refresh one's mind. Thoughts become clear, and it gets a little easier to evaluate the surrounding reality. Okay, now I just now understood this sentence. Yeah, because when you're in a new position, you just gotta understand the reality of what your situation is. Not in my case, however. I was sitting on the roadside, wheezing and trying to ease my sore throat by gulping breaths of hot air. Okay, enough of that. In any case, the run did its job. The fear withdrew for a while. Until it comes back. Maybe I really am just dreaming. Though, recalling my self-harm on the bus, I immediately rejected the idea. Okay, who is Semyon? I really want to know. I am neither dreaming nor dead. A narrow road ran through the field and far into the distance. Very beautiful. The exact same road from my dream. Uh-oh, run away. I must be very far away from home. And it's not just that it was winter yesterday, and it's summer now. It's the whole environment. Of course, summer is usually like this, green and hot, but here everything is not entirely lifelike. Did we get sucked into a video game? Earth to life? Everything looks like it was taken from the paintings of Russian landscape artists of the 19th century. If we're in Russia, we better run. The grass is just too lush. The bushes are not like what bushes should be. They're so thick that you can't see anything through them, but like treetops, honestly. And the trees themselves. The forest was quite far away, but the trees looked as if they had closed their ranks and were now just waiting for the order to advance into the fields and plains. I caught my breath and looked at the bus, which was now barely visible. That was a good run. Must have been if you just ran that far away. Fear overtook me once again. Those power lines. There must be people here. But what does it mean? In fact, that means nothing at all. Couldn't they have power lines even in hell? No. Roasting sinners over hot coals. That's so last century. No, actually, it's totally this century, too. I must have reached the point of no return, after which you should either lose your mind completely or finally understand what is going on. I mean, clearly we just either hopped into a video game or I'm going completely insane and we just time traveled. And while I still have a choice, I should pick the second option. I slowly headed back to the bus. Of course, it was scary, but I'm not likely to find an answer in the fields or the woods, and this wrecked bucket of bolts is the only kind of link I have with the real world. Okay, so apparently, I'm gonna say from this, we're technically not in the real world. Or in his case, he's not real world. It's the gate from the beginning of his dream. Total deja vu, people. Deja vu. I should carefully scout the area. A brick wall and its gates, crowned with a Sovnok sign. I am gonna butcher these. Statues of pioneers standing on either side, and a road sign nearby showing the bus route number 410. Sovnokian's outlet. Sovyonok. Um, I'm debating how to pronunciate this. Pronunciations are not my thing. The trip's taking a bit too long today. I smirked. A person may start acting inappropriately in extreme situations. Something like that is probably happening to me now. This place didn't look abandoned at all. No rust on the gates, no damage to the walls. Well, there is vines, but there is no damage. Okay. I'm just gonna say outlet. Outlet. Because I cannot pronunciate that. What could have What could have a name like that? Ugh. Juggling. Oh my goodness. Pronunciations. Judging by the judging by the pioneer statues, it could be a kid's summer camp. Moreover, it appears to be open. Of course, the simplest explanation, logically speaking, explains nothing at all. How? How? The strange girl, the altered bus, summer, the pioneer camp. The strange girl, the altered bus, summer, and the pioneer camp. Remember his dream? Like, I'm getting cold chills right now. But his dream, there was a girl who asked him, "Will you come with me?" I remember that clearly. Go back to episode 1 if you don't believe me. But all circumstances considered, and all dialogue leading up to this point was driving us here to this exact position. And it's so ironic. Thousands of theories went through my mind instantly, from alien abduction to lethargic sleep, from a hallucination to a time and space shift. Time and space shift. Or a video game. None was worse than any other, but there was really no way to pick a single one. Then it occurred to me, I can try to make a phone call. Oh yes, because that's totally gonna help. I took out my cell phone and dialed the first number from my contact list. But instead, the signal strength bars, the screen was showing a thick cross. But instead of signal strength bars, the screen was showing a thick cross. Alright, there may be no signal in such a remote place, though I cannot be the only one who came here. Buses don't drive themselves. Examine the bus from all sides to make sure that it wasn't a hallucination. Bits of dirt at the bottom, some rust here and there, faded paint and worn out tires. No, this is definitely a very ordinary... I can't just say an IRL. Icarus? Whatever. Yeah, exactly the kind of bus which takes you to places beyond your understanding if you carelessly fall asleep. I gave a nervous chuckle. Ha ha ha. It came out by itself, sporadically, because it wasn't the right place or time to laugh. It was time to cry. But where on earth is the driver? I cautiously sat down on the curbside beside the bus and started to wait. Waiting and waiting. My patience didn't last long. My anxiety seemed to have reached its peak and I started to go slightly mad. I would too. In such a situation, anyone would have probably felt something similar. Aliens and parallel universes were gone from my imagination, leaving only void and darkness. Sad. Is this how everything will end? How my life will end? But I wanted to do so much. There were so many things I had no time for yet. I was overwhelmed by the idea. This was definitely the end. But why? It's not fair. Surely I am no worse than anyone else. God, why? And blink. Or no, he closed his eyes for a second, maybe. Tears were burning my eyes unbearably. I curled up and started rolling in the grass. Ooh, roly-poly. Why? What did I do? Why me? But my eyes were only heard by the speechless statues of the pioneers and a bird on a tree, which immediately flapped its wings and took off, crying out loud something in its own bird language, as if laughing at the idiot who dared to interrupt its after dinner nap. Oh my gosh. Bear with me. I was left breathless from weeping and just laying quietly, sobbing occasionally. I'd be sobbing a lot, crying a lot. After a while, I managed to pull myself together. My mind cleared up a bit, as if terror and fear of death gave me a little break. All in all, if someone wanted to kill me, what is all this for? It doesn't look like an experiment either. If this is just some crazy coincidence, then there's probably no threat. Anyway, for now it seems there's no danger. The panic was soon gone. Of course, the blood was still pounding in my temples, and my hands were still shaking, but at least I could think clearly now. Right now, there is nothing I can really change anyway. So, no matter how much I think or how mad I get, it would only make things worse. Until some actual facts appear, there is really no point in making guesses. In any case, I won't win anything by lounging about here. This camp, if of course it really is a camp, looked like the only place where people could be, so I decided to go there, and hardly had I reached the gate when a girl came out from behind them. Why, hello, wearing a pioneer uniform. Well then, hello, random girl that we do not know. My logic didn't let me down this time. Then again, a pioneer uniform in the 21st century. So is this girl that just is in his dream that he kept talking about in the beginning? Curiosity. And then again, a girl here. I froze, unable to take a step. I felt very much like running away. Running as far as I could from this place. Far from this bus, gates, statues, and far from this bloody bird with its siesta. I think I said that right. Just running, free like the wind, faster and faster, waving to the planets passing by, winking at the galaxies. Running, becoming a pulsar ray and turning into celestial radiation, running to face the unknown. Words I do not know. Run no matter where, as long as it is from this place. Oh. Meanwhile, the girl came closer and smiled. I'd prefer if you backed up. I could not help but notice her beauty, even though I was trembling with fear. Human instincts work independent of coincidence. Retry. Human instincts work independent of consciousness. Words. And while only 5% of the brain is responsible for cognitive processes, the remaining 95% are always busy sustaining life, and in particular, ensuring stable functioning of the hormonal system. I'm pretty sure my brain is working at 4% cognitive functions. I desperately wanted to get less complicated and stop thinking in formal quotes from an encyclopedia. Please. Though my thoughts appeared one by one, being stupid, out of place, as if taken from an internal monologue of the hero of some junky softcover crime fiction book. I swear. A pretty Slavic face, long braids that looked like 2 arms of fresh hay, and blue eyes you could drown in. Pioneer girl. Hi, you must have just arrived. Or do not reply. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by its toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. My mother told me to choose the very best one, and you are not it. Okay, reply. Yeah. Alright then, welcome. She smiled broadly. Strange, it looked at it as if I had just a normal girl in front of me. Bah! I shouldn't have returned here. The woods and fields seemed better. But what shall I do next? Try to speak with her as if she was a human, or run away, or what? The blood was pumping unbearably in my head. Tears in part from the tearing it apart from the inside. A little bit more, and the poor pioneer girl would be splattered with the gruesome contents of my skull. What's so funny about that? The girl looked me over. It sent shivers down my spine, and my knees started to tremble. Nothing. Nothing at all. Great then. Great. What's so great about that? Suddenly a thought crossed my mind. To hell with it. Forget about the bus behind me. The fact that it was just winter yesterday and summer today. I want to rip off my itchy sweater and just accept that all of this is actually happening. Everything is as it should be. All this is for the best, we hope. Would you happen to know? You should go to our camp leader. She'll tell you everything. Look. You go straight ahead to the square, then turn left. You'll see several small cabins. She pointed at the gates, as if I knew what was behind them. Well, you can ask someone where Olga so-and-so's cabin is. Dimitrievna is a patronymic, a person's father's name, in this case, Dmitri, put by Russians after the person's first name as a sign of respect or formal address. Why? Right, got it? Of course I didn't. Of course not. Well, I've got to go now. Bye. The girl waved her hand at me and disappeared through the gates. It seemed as if to her I was something ordinary. And all this show with the bus and the travels while awake or asleep were troubling only to me, while everything here is just the way it is supposed to be. Camp leader, pioneer uniform. What are they doing? What are they doing? A historical reenactment here? I hope I won't find Leon standing atop an armored car in this world. Oh my gosh, I cannot read. But even that would not surprise me now. After standing alone for a while, I headed into the camp. Yay! A mere 50 meters ahead, a small one-story house popped up on the left side. The sign near the door said clubs. I was about to come closer when the door suddenly opened. A short girl wearing a pioneer uniform came out. Her pretty face gave me the impression of one suffering for the fate of the whole mankind with a truly universal sorrow. As soon as she saw me, the girl froze, as if frightened. I froze too, considering what was the best to do, to approach first or wait until she showed some initiative, or maybe run away after all. Although this last option was constantly being suggested only by myself, preservation instinct. At least that's what I'd like to believe. Not the worst human instinct, but far from the most logical. If this instinct played poker against deductive abilities, the outcome would be predetermined. And those deductive abilities, or at least their semblance, were hinting to me that there was no need to be afraid of this girl. And there's another one. Suddenly, somebody jumped out of nearby bushes. A girl wearing a bright red t-shirt with USS all written on it. But that says CCCP. There's a difference between the shirt and what's in dialogue. Okay then. such a perfect reproduction of the age. She looked quite short from a distance, and was probably younger than both pioneer girls, the one at the gates and this girl at the door of the clubs. At last I decided to come closer, but the USSR, as I called her in my mind, jumped towards the first girl and started telling her something while wildly waving her arms. The other girl in turn seemed confused and lowered her gaze, remaining silent. I have probably continued to observe their amusing dialogue, but the USSR suddenly pulled something out of her pocket and started waving it in front of the girl's face. This something turned out to be a grasshopper. Eee! Oh my gosh, should I do voices like that? I'm not good at this. The first girl squealed. She must not be too keen on insects, as she instantly rushed off towards the place where Lenin presumably made his speech about the workers' and peasants' revolution. That is to say, towards the square. The USSR glanced at me, grinned playfully, and dashed after her. Not a bad start to the day. Great. I have absolutely no clue where I am, besides that there are some kids here role-playing as pioneers. Or they're not. And as far as I can tell, this place is located thousands of kilometers away from my home. It might even be a different reality. And this was indeed a reality. I mean, everything around me seemed so real, if a little embellished, that I was starting to think that in fact my precious life could have just been a dream, a wonderful, glorious, wonderful dream. And what am I supposed to do now? I was picking at the cracked paving stones with my shoe and staring aimlessly at the club's building. Just a few more seconds before I have to come up with some decision. That's when I recalled myself rolling on the grass, weeping, cringing in disgust, terribly weeping, rolling in the grass like an idiot. I cringed in disgust. Perhaps it's another instinct when all energy for whimpering and self-pity is used up. The body either goes into hibernation or mobilishes its reserves. If I even saw that word right. Mine seemed to have chosen the second option, because out of the blue I found the determination to figure out what was going on. And in order to do that, I had to act like a man. But I'm a woman. Thank you very much. Like a human, to maintain the dignity of a representative of my own world. I followed the path to the left, on the right side of which stood small cabins, apparently the homes of the local pioneers. Actually, they looked quite cozy from the outside. Even though I was born in the Soviet Union, I had never been part of its children's organizations. Neither the pioneers nor even the younger October children. I imagine the daily life of a typical pioneer camp a bit differently. Huge barracks with long rows of metal bunks. Wake up call at 6 o'clock, plagued by a siren. 1 minute to make your bed, then joining the formation at the drill square. Or wait, could I be confusing with something else? Potentially. Suddenly something struck me on the back. I staggered but remained on my feet, turned around and prepared to fight heroically for my life. She looks angry. But all I found was another girl standing before me. My mouth hung open in surprise. Oh darn. Should I give her a voice? Maybe I should. I'm trying to decide what the voice to give her. Like, like a grumpy voice. Pick your jaw off the ground. I closed my mouth. The same pioneer uniform, but the way she was wearing it looked, let's say, provocative. Like all the girls I had met here before, this one was rather cute, but her overly arrogant expression killed any desire to get to know her better. Yeah, she looks like she's gonna kill you. New here, are you? I hate that voice, honestly. Fine, see ya. She threw a threatening glance at me and walked past. I waited for the pioneer girl to turn at the corner. Who knows what else she might have been up to. The most interesting thing was that even this hostile girl seemed completely normal to me. She did not give off the feeling of some deadly danger. Except maybe the danger of getting punched in the nose. Kapop. At last, I managed to make it to the square. There was no land on an armored car, although one could easily expect something like that after all that had happened. I cannot read. Like my throat's sore. Instead, however, a monument to a certain comrade towered in the middle of the square, and letters on the pedestal read, "Genda? Must be some big figure in the party." There were some small benches at the sides. It's quite pleasant here. Where did that girl tell me to go? To the left or the right? To the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. Why am I going there anyway? Ah, right. I've decided to pretend to be normal. Normal. What is normal? So So to the right, through a small grove, I came out at a pier. That's very pretty, actually. I must have taken a wrong turn. Hey, wrong way. I turned towards the voice. The girl stood before me. Now, what did I tell you? Take a left at the square, wasn't it? She had changed from her pioneer uniform into a bikini. Oh, I still haven't introduced myself. My name is Salvia. Actually, my full name is Saviana. I swear these are German names. But everyone calls me Salvia. So you can too. Yeah. I still felt a bit confused, so I could not come up with more meaningful answers. And what's your name? It felt like she could see right through me. Like there's just like a void here. She can just go. Pfft. Yeah, Semyon. Nice to meet you, Semyon. Hate that name. Alright, I'm almost done here. Could you wait a minute? I'm going to change and we'll go to Olga Dmitrieva to get. And we'll go to Olga Dmitrieva. German together. Agreed. Agreed. After this exchange, she ran off and sat on the pier and let. After this exchange, she ran off. I sat on the pier and let my feet hang into the water. I was wearing heavy winter boots, but in such weather, there was nothing wrong with getting my feet wet. Furthermore, it let me cool myself a little. Looking at the river, I was brainstorming and processing everything that has happened. If this is some kind of conspiracy, it's a weird one. Even too friendly at times. No, it really looks more like a random event. Some entirely incomprehensible random event. Shall we go? Salvia. Can I just... I'm really struggling with these names. Was standing beside me, dressed in the pioneer uniform again. Let's go. I've been here for a very short time, but all the people I've met, she looks the least suspicious. However, this fact is already suspicious itself. Wow, this dude does not trust anybody. We walked to the square. The USR girl and the girl who hit me on the back were there chasing each other. Is this some kind of game they're playing? Yelvania, enough running. I'll tell everything to Olga. Olga. I'm just gonna call her Olga. Olga. You know, I'm just gonna stop using the weird, hard word and just grr. Yelvania, enough running. I'll tell everything to Olga. Aye, aye, Captain. I decided not to question Salvia for a while about what was going on or the local residents. Better meet with the mysterious Olga first. Sounds like she's the boss here. We walked past the rows of almost identical cabins, some of which looked like fat beer barrels, while others looked more like household sheds. Finally, Sylvia stopped in front of a smallish one-story cabin. Okay. It looked like an artist's painting, the faded paint chipping here and there with age, was sparkling in the sun. The window shutters slightly ajar were swaying almost unnoticeably in the wind. Oh, shutters slightly ajar were swaying almost unnoticeably in the wind. A huge lilac bushes were growing at the sides. Ugh. It seemed as if this ramshackle hut was drowning in a storm of purple silk, and the lilacs, like some elemental force, were inexorably destroying the troop leader's house. What are you standing around for? Let's go. Sylvia snapped me out of my daydreaming. And stop teasing Lenya already. Oh my gosh. No. No. No, 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 no. Stop this. I just jumped out of, I jumped out of my skin. Good job. Raina! Sounds like there's someone inside. Indeed, a moment later, the door swung open and Yelvana ran out and dashed past with the same mischievous grin. The pigtailed girl came out next. Don't let it bother you, Lena. So, her name is Lena? Gotta be thankful it's not Raina, at least. But I don't. Instead of finishing her sentence, she blushed and quickly headed towards the square. For some reason, I felt like turning and following her with my eyes, but Sylvia said, "Come." We entered the cabin. Inside, it looked something similar to what I'd imagined. 2 beds, a table, a couple of chairs, a simple carpet on the floor, a wardrobe. Nothing special, but at the same time it felt homelike and cozy, although this room was almost in the same state of disorder as my own flat. The girl standing near the window appeared to be about 25 years old. Nature had obviously gifted her with a pretty face and a good body. Okay, that's like, come on. At least one thing can keep you happy in this pandemonium. The locals are beautiful. You're finally here. Excellent. My name is Olga. I'm the camp leader. Nice to meet you. I'm Semyon. I decided to talk as if I wasn't surprised by anything that was going on. Good idea. She came closer. We've been expecting you since early this morning. You've been expecting me? Yes, of course. And when does the bus come? And when does the next bus come? And why do you need it? Yeah, right. Why would I need it? Guess I shouldn't ask direct questions. The people here may react to them quite unlike how I'd prefer. And I doubt I'd get any answers. No reason, just curious. By the way, where are we exactly? Our mailing address. I wanted to send a letter to my parents to tell them I got here fine. For some reason, I had a desperate idea that if I played along, I would find something out. Oh, but your parents called just half an hour ago. Sent their regards to you. Now that's a surprise. So, can I call them? Because I forgot to tell them something before I left. No. She gave me a sweet, spontaneous smile. Why not? We don't have a phone here. Then how did they call? Okay, and my brain just now noticed these weird illustrations all over the wall. Are we getting ready for a horror game? Then how could my parents make a call to here? I've just come back from the district central town. I talked with them there. Ah, so that's how it is. And can't I somehow get to the town? No. She kept the same smile. Why not? Because the next bus only comes in a week. I decided not to inquire how the troop leader managed to get there and back. I would get no answer anyway. All this time, Salvia was standing next to me and seemed to find nothing odd in our conversation. Oh, we need to find a uniform for you. I've got absolutely no desire to put on pioneer shorts or to wear the ridiculous red neckerchief. However, wearing white clothes in summer isn't a great idea either. Right. Thank you. I wonder if I'm the only one here who finds it strange that someone's wearing a coat and winter boots in such heat. Righty-o. I'll be off then, and you can get yourself acquainted with the camp. Don't forget to come to dinner in the evening. Having that said, she walked out of the cabin. No, walked is not the right word. She rushed out. I ended up alone with Sylvia. I must go too. Got things to do. Take a walk. Look around the camp a bit. See you in the evening. If there's no threat or catch to this, then this reality as embodied by Salvia becomes more and more appealing. For the time today, I realized that it was awfully hot here. Although obviously my winter clothes were to blame for that. I took off my coat and dropped it onto the bed. My pullover followed it. I was now wearing only the t-shirt. That's much better. All I could do now was follow their advice and go look around the camp. I'll try to find something out in the meantime. And no more jump scares. Passing the local residential district, I saw a pioneer guy coming my way. Also, there's guys here too. And it was really a pioneer guy, not a pioneer girl. Apparently, there were men even in this kingdom of Amazons. Hello, you're new here. You must be Semyon, right? And how do you... Everyone already knows. I'm Oh my gosh. Electronic? By the way, the real one. You can call me that. Electronic was the robot character appearing in popular Soviet film and book series. He looked like an exact copy of a school kid called Sergei Cheeskov? What? Cheskov? Am I just playing some weird Russian visual novel? I took electronic, the real one. Things were going from crazy to completely insane. So, alright. Yelvania also calls me cheesy. Cheesy? On toast with mushrooms? Because my last name is Cheskov. Help. I see. Let me show you around. I accepted his offer, as it would have taken much longer to get to know this place alone. Fine, let's go. We ended up at the square again, as if this place was all there is to this camp. Lenya was sitting on one of the benches reading some book. Electronic confidently approached her. Oh, hello, Lenya. Meet the new guy, Semyon. He started briskly. Hello. Well, you could say we've already met in a way. Yes. She looked away from the book for a moment, glanced at me, blushed, and went back to reading, as if not noticing that we were still here. Alright, let's go on. I was at first surprised that meeting this girl was reduced to a couple of words, but then I thought that it was better that way. Electronics and vigorous activity did not fit well with Lenya's shyness. Let's go. We came to a building which I instantly identified as a canteen. And this here, I know, this is where you consume organic food. Yeah, something like that. On the canteen's porch stood the unfriendly girl who hit me on the back earlier. At the sight of her, my joking mood vanished in a blink of an eye. Really, now is not the best time to be pulling this guy's leg, even though he is quite hilarious. First, I need to figure out what's what here, or at least where I am. Here, over there, that's Alicia. Be careful around her. He spoke in a whisper. Deva means two in Russian. The whole nickname sounds exactly like Tucha in Russian, a reference to late anonymous image board. Don't ever risk calling her Devache. She doesn't like that. What did you say? What did you call me? Oh, sorry. She must have heard him. In a blink of an eye, Alyssa jumped down from the porch and dashed towards us. Alright, you'll manage. From here onwards, Electronic took to his heels. Oh. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Wait. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by his toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. My mother told me to choose the very best one, and you are not it. Yo, we're doing it anyways. I decided that I had no wish to come across this aggressive Alyssa girl again, and darted after Electronic. Running to the square, I lost sight of him, but Nivishka wasn't chasing after me either. However, I really should not risk calling her that, even in my mind. After catching my breath, I wondered why I had reacted like that. Alright, she is a girl, an aggressive one, but why run away? Failing to find a good answer, I sat down on a bench and stared at the monument to Jenda. Looks like I'll have to kill time alone, waiting for dinner. I decided to go east, at least in the direction where east would be in my world. Soon after, I found myself near the football pitch. Oh, it's called soccer. A game was in full swing there. I guess watching it for a bit wouldn't do any harm. In my childhood and teen years, I was not a bad player myself, and even thought of going professional, but a few injuries in a row killed my desire to risk my health for the sake of the uncertain chance in the game. Kids of different ages were running around the pitch. I could see a boy about 10. I see a boy of about 10 and a girl of about 14 years old. A girl? Hey, that's Sylvania. Alright, so she plays football. What's so surprising? She seems a restless one after all. I was standing quite far from the pitch, but she still noticed me. Hey, you! Sylvania shouted. Wanna play? I didn't know how to answer. On the one hand, running around for 10 minutes is no big deal. On the other hand, any wrong move in my situation could be my final one. But in any case, my attire wasn't suitable for this weather. If I played in winter boots with the warm jeans, I would sweat like a pig. And playing barefoot without jeans would be simply unethical. Wait, and playing barefoot without jeans would be simply unethical. Maybe some other time, alright? I shouted in response, turned around, and walked back. I was followed by Yovenia's screams about my pants or about me being a pansy or something like that. Excuse me. Evening was falling, making me feel tired and empty after a day wasted with no real purpose. I came back to the square, sat down on a bench, and gave an exhausted sigh. I'd better sit here and wait for dinner. After all, it's easier to search for answers when you're not hungry. They do give food to the people here, right? You know, it's curious how the simplest human needs can break the will to ponder on things, to strive for something. For example, I feel hungry now, so I care much less about where I am or what is happening to me. Could great people also be affected by this? And in this case, how did Spartacus start the slave uprising in ancient times? I can only conclude that I am not a great person, and it does not really matter which mechanism I serve as a gear in society, the Matrix, or a weird pioneer camp. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of bells chiming from a loudspeaker on a light pole. It must be the dinner call. I headed towards the canteen. It was a good thing I knew where it was. Why can't I read? Olga was there, standing on the porch. I stopped and looked closely at her, as if I were expecting something. She looked back at me for a while, but at last came closer. Semyon, what are you waiting for? Come in already. Guess nothing bad can happen if I go with her. My stomach backed me up here. The two of us went inside. The canteen looked like a canteen. I had a chance to visit a factory canteen at some point in my life. This one was exactly the same, just maybe a bit cleaner and more modern. Metal chairs and tables, glazed tiles on the walls and on the floor, unsophisticated tableware with the occasional crack. Yes, that's what a canteen in a pioneer camp's supposed to be like. Semyon, wait a moment. We'll find you a place to sit. She looked around the place. Hold it right there. Olga shouted at Alyssa, who was passing by. What? What's up with your clothes? Anything wrong with them? Indeed, her attire looks somewhat provocative. Get your uniform nice and neat right now. Alright. Alyssa got her shirt right and walked past, shooting an unpleasant glare at me. So where can we find you a place to sit? There were a lot of free seats. Go over there next to Yovania. Maybe Yeah, it's fine. The food's already on the table, too. I had no other choice but to accept. Of course, there was a probability that the cutlets were poisoned with Carrere, the mashed potatoes generously seasoned with arsenic, and the glass filled with excellent antifreeze instead of compote. But it all looked so tasty that I had no chance to resist. Hey, what do you want? I replied rather rudely to Yovania, who was sitting next to me. Why didn't you play football with us? Because of my clothes, I said, pointing at the source of the problem. Oh, alright then, eat. However, there wasn't much left to eat. My cutlet was missing from the plate. Only she could have done it. No, more precisely, none but Elena could have done it. Give me back my cutlet. In a big family, you snooze, you lose. It can cost you a cutlet if you are careless. Give it back, I'm telling you. I looked at her menacingly and was about to reach out my hand. See, I don't have it. And indeed, Elena's plate was empty. It seemed that this little girl eats as fast as she steals someone's cutlet. Take it easy, we'll work something out now. She grabbed my plate and ran off. There was no point in following her. If they wanted to poison me here, they could have done it in a much easier way. About a minute later, returned and handed me a plate with a steaming hot cutlet on it. Here's one for the starving. Thanks. It was all I could say. I was so hungry that my suspicions were gone in a flash. I was so hungry that my suspicions were gone. I picked up the cutlet with my fork and... What the? Some bug? No. Some bug? No, not a bug. An insect. It got legs and it's wiggling? The plate fell onto the floor and broke into pieces, and the chair hit me hard on my leg while falling. I've disliked insects since I was a child, but when these creepy crawlies appear in my plate, that's just way too much. You little... Elena seemed ready for such a twist and was already at the door, laughing as she laughing as if she had just heard a fresh stand-up comedy joke. I dashed after her. We ran out of the canteen. We were just a few dozen meters apart, and I felt I would catch this little girl easily. We ran through the square, past the club's house, and ran onto the forest path. I started to gasp for air. I should have quit smoking, I guess. Yelena passed out of sight on the next turn. It can't be true that she managed to get away from me. It simply can't. I stopped and tried to catch my breath again. No jump scares, please. Night was falling. Looks like I'm lost. It's a bad idea to stay in the woods at night. Better get back to camp. However, I had absolutely no clue which way to go. Well, gotta choose at random. I wandered for quite some time in the forest and even thought of crying for help, but finally saw the camp's fence beyond the trees. Everything fell back into place. The bus is gone, I mumbled quietly. On the one hand, there was nothing strange about that. The bus couldn't just stay there forever. On the other hand, it meant there was someone driving, because buses do not drive themselves. Or do they? This world seemed too normal, but every event had at least two explanations for it. An ordinary, real, everyday explanation, and a surreal one. Certainly, the driver could have just been off for a snack and left too soon, and that's why. In any case, this is not the place for me. Whether the bus drives itself or not was probably an important question, but it was much more important to know how I had got here at all. Where this here was. The fields and the woods stretching towards the horizon had no answers. There was nothing familiar about them. A strange, odd, and alien world. However, at the same time, it was obviously not frightening. Either my self-preservation instincts decided to resign from its job, or all this running around the camp and the local pioneers had lulled me so much with their carefree normality that I was simply forgetting what had happened to me just a couple hours ago. Though I probably just had no strength left to worry. All I wanted was some peace, calmness. I wanted to just have a break from it all. And only after that would I continue looking for answers, ready and reloaded. However, that would be some time later. And about now, can I allow myself to relax? It got completely dark, and in any case, it was better to spend the night in the camp. I was about to head back when someone came up silently from behind me. Hello. Hello, what are you doing here so late? It was Salvia, standing before me. I was so surprised that I jumped. So you didn't catch Sylvania, did you? She smiled. I nodded disappointedly inside. No wonder. No one ever has. Yeah, she's a real rocket girl. She could have found a better use for her energy than looking for adventures. You must be hungry. You didn't manage to have dinner at all. Indeed, I had completely forgot about my hunger after these words of hers made my stomach drew attention to itself by giving a traitorous rumble. Salvia smiled. Let's go then. What? Is the canteen still open? It's all right. I have the keys. The keys? Yes, I have keys to all the facilities in this camp. How come? Well, I'm something like the camp leaders aside here. I see. I see. Well, let's go. It was an offer you can't refuse. When we reached the square, Salvia stopped in her tracks. Excuse me, I should warn my roommate that I'll be late. She's so punctual herself that she'll be worried otherwise. You go on to the canteen and I'll come in a minute, alright? Alright. My throat is actually starting to hurt. I feel like I've been here for an hour. Um... I really did not expect to find somebody aside from myself there at such a late hour, and that somebody was apparently trying to hopelessly open the door. Without any secret thoughts, I walked up to the porch. The lockpicker turned out to be Alyssa. I should have probably kept off and waited. She looked at me intently for a while and then said, Don't just stand there, give me a hand or something." Meaning, help me open the door. Why? 'Cause I want some buns and kefir. Dinner wasn't big enough. Is that really a good idea? Aren't you hungry yourself? Huh? Yelena didn't let you have a normal dinner, did she? She smiled sarcastically. It's true, didn't she? She didn't. She didn't. My brain, I swear. It's fine. Salvia will come, and now... What? She looks angry. What? Guess I shouldn't have said that. I'm off then. You'll pay for this. You owe me 2 already. Having said that, Alyssa disappeared into the night. And what was the first one? Salvia didn't keep me waiting for too long. Is everything alright? Yeah, why are you asking? No reason. It's nothing. It would be better if I didn't tell her about Alyssa. Everything's fine. I said that and immediately heard a note of dishonesty in my voice. Well, shall we go? As for Salvia, she seemed not to have noticed anything. Or at least she was pretending she hadn't. We entered the canteen. Wait a bit, I'll go get something. I sat down on a chair and obediently waited for my savior. My dinner was simple: a few buns and a glass of kefir. No wonder. I bet hungry pioneers finished everything off. However, even that was far better than most of my usual diet. Sylvia sat across the table and looked at me while I was eating. Is there something on my face? No, just... She smiled. So how did you like your first day in the camp? Well, I don't really know. It's silly to ask someone who suddenly found himself in a different reality whether he liked the food in the canteen, the camp leader, or his assigned hut. It's alright. You'll soon get used to it. Sylvia stared out the window dreamily. Frankly speaking, I have no desire to get used to such things. But as for her, she doesn't know. Or at least she wants me to think that she doesn't. Well, all in all, it's nice here. I had to somehow break the awkward silence. Do you think so? She asked without any interest. Wait, did I read that right? She asked without any interest. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this place is so... I wanted to say retro, but I managed to hold that back. My nose is itching. After all, it was retro for me. But what about them? It might be the only kind of life they knew. If the term life was applicable here at all. How so? She watched me closely, as if something important depended on my answer. Well, I don't know. Lovely. Yeah, it's lovely here. I guess you're right. She smiled again. It's very good that you think so. Why? Well, not everyone likes it here. And what about you? Me? Yes. I love it here. It's great. Then you don't need to worry about what other people think. I have an itch. I hate it. Well, I don't really worry. Sylvia laughed. This conversation seemed to be leading me far astray from where I wanted to get to. And you're worried yourself. Really? Why do you say so? Well, when someone is chewing so intensely, I'm sorry. It's okay. I can bring myself to be more cautious around this girl. But why her in particular? Why not any other local inhabitant? Every one of them looked completely normal to me. Precisely normal. So normal it sends chills down my spine and into my marrow. Normal, like a neighbor with a power... Not like a neighbor with a power drill in one hand and a subwoofer in the other. Not like a passenger you can often meet in a subway or on a public transport public transport. Not like a coworker at the next table in an open plan office. And not even like a friend who only differs from other humans in his constant instance. All of them looked as I would expect them to be, with their own downsides, but without any superpowers. And Salvia was also cute. I glanced at her stealthily, not knowing what to say. I'm sorry, I wanted to show you the camp, but was ran off my feet. I didn't miss anything while on my own, I guess. Are you sure you haven't missed anything at all? She smiled so brightly that I had to drop my eyes in confusion. Well, how would I know? It's my first day here. Okay, and what have you seen so far? I've seen the square, this canteen, the football field, and what about the beach? Just from afar. You should really go there, or let's do it together. Yeah, okay, we will. Her naturalness started to scare me, but then I thought, what if everything that happens here is how it's supposed to be in this world looks strange only to me, while for them it is normal? Maybe I was thrown into the past. Yes, that would explain a lot. Can I ask a stupid question? No. Seva smiled and stood from the table. It's late. Can you find the way to Olga by yourself? Of course I can, but why should I go there? She'll settle you with someone. For what? Probably this question seems stupid because Savia bursted into good-natured laughter. You see, you need to sleep somewhere, right? Of course. That makes sense. Fine, I'll be off then. Good night. Night. It's strange that she left in such a hurry. A bundle of keys in the door lock caught my attention. I was going to catch up to Salvia, but where does she live? And knocking on every door during the middle of the night didn't sound like a bright idea. I'm so confused. Take the keys, leave the keys, take the keys, leave the keys, take the keys, take the keys. I'm just gonna take the keys. I better take them. I'll give them back tomorrow because who knows what happens here at night. Such thoughts gave me chills. It's me who needs to be careful here in the first place. The night, though dark, wasn't silent at all. One could hear chirping crickets, the songs of the night birds, and rustling trees from everywhere. A sudden desire to follow Savio's advice to go to the camp leader's cabin appeared. I don't know why, but the sight of the unknown bronze builder of communism put me in a constructive mood. Of course, because communism is so good. It's not. I sat on the bench and started to recall everything that happened today. But that was all my constructive mood could offer. Here was much brighter than near the canteen, and tardy pioneers were running by, so this place didn't seem scary at all. Bus, summer camp, girls. I was so tired from everything new and strange that I could not come up with a single explanation for what was going on. I heard a barely noticeable rustle nearby. I shivered and looked in that direction. A girl reading a book. Lenya? I decided to move closer and talk. She was the only person I had met here without exchanging even a few words. Hi, what are you reading? Lenya was so surprised that she even jumped. Sorry, didn't mean to scare you. Never mind. She blushed and stared at the book again. So what are you reading? On the cover was written, Gone with the Wind. Honestly speaking, I haven't read it, but I think that such literature suits her very well. Lenya didn't seem to be interested in continuing the conversation. Well, if I'm bothering you. No, she answered while still looking at the book. Can I sit beside you for a while? Why? Really? Why? Maybe just because I was very tired and having company is better than being alone. And maybe I wanted to try to find something out from her. I carefully examined Lenya. But no, I doubt that. Well, I don't know. I'm not allowed to. Feel free. But if I'm bothering you, no, you're not. Can I leave? I can leave. Just say everything's all right. Okay then. I sat on the end of the bench carefully. After such an intense talk, staying here was the last thing I wanted. But it would be nice just to stand up and leave. That didn't really go well, huh? Lenya hasn't answered anything. It seems I made a fool out of myself. I bet if Yena was here, she'd have a good laugh at me. Do you enjoy being here? I rehearsed Sylvia's question and thought it would be a good start for a conversation. Yes. She smiled slightly. I guess I like it too. Lenya definitely isn't very sociable and probably can't carry on a meaningless conversation as easy as Sylvia. But there was something about her that attracted attention, like a momentary glimpse of a reflection in the glass on a rainy autumn evening, which makes you turn around and stare into darkness, searching for something that you saw out of the corner of your eye. Of course, you weren't able to distinguish or understand what it was. It still felt so tempting. Lenya was still reading the book without paying any attention to my presence, and I had no intention of asking her anything about this camp or this world in general. Beautiful night. Yes. How in the world would you start a conversation with her? It's late. I have to go. Yes, it's quite late. Good night. Night. There was something strange about this girl. At first glance, she's a typical shy and modest pioneer girl, but the mystery of Lena took its own place in the massive list of mysteries about this camp, which I had started to put together in my head. A lazy evening. There's nothing like a good time with nothing to do. I headed towards Olga's cabin. Just gonna the light in the house was on. Hello, Semyon. You're quite late. Yeah. I went for a walk to look around the camp. Alright. You will be sleeping here. She pointed her finger at one of the beds. Here? I mean, like, right here? I was a bit surprised. Yes. Is something wrong? We are out of free cabins anyway. The camp leader smiled, but I rather think it was just out of politeness. You do want to be a decent pioneer, don't you? There was a clear emphasis on the word decent. Yep, sure. I was lost in thought for a moment. Don't you mind it, mademoiselle? She looked at me oddly, with surprise and some offense in her eyes. A pioneer should respect their elders, Olga said strictly. Of course he should. No one argues with that. I blathered, not realizing what was wrong. Shouldn't you also? She stared at me. Under such a gaze, even mithril forged by the best dwarf masters from the deepest dungeons would melt. Should I what? What's up, Toots? Annoyance and lack of understanding made me raise my voice. You must address adults appropriately. Yes, of course, there are a lot of strange things here. But this girl is just a couple years older than me. Or maybe even younger. But I decided not to argue. Well, just a few minutes ago I would never have called her an adult. I have to admit that she was also given a strong character. And in any case, I wasn't in a position to argue. Again, the creepy pictures. As you say, ma'am, I mumbled. That's much better. That is how a decent pioneer should conduct himself. And now it's time to sleep. Honestly speaking, I wasn't going to become neither a decent nor indecent pioneer. Just yesterday, I wasn't going to become a pioneer at all. But do I have a choice now? If you don't want to, we'll have to make you. This is the motto Olga was probably going to use. I climbed onto the bed and closed my eyes only to realize how tired I was after today. Something hammered in my head Something hammered in my head awfully, as if my brains had started a night shift, and they seemed to be aimed more at rolling steel than working on something more sensitive. Creepy. Cold chills. Okay. The bus flew through my mind, and the square with the monument. The canteen full of pioneers, and the malicious face of Yelena. Salvia. Lena. And even recalling Alyssa didn't give me too much of a negative feeling. What if I'm here for good? Square, something pops out. I'm going to scream. Oh, day 2. Woohoo! Alright. We're gonna stop right there. Day 1 was definitely very interesting. So, from what I can say is that we have somehow time traveled back in time. We're in an alternate universe or something. But also the jump scare. I just jumped out of my skin. But that was definitely interesting. We even had a bug put in our food. That is not cool. So I'm not sure if I should put like voices to the characters. I might have to like figure out some. But other than that, it's whew. But I hope you enjoyed, and please subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.